The music industry is on fire right now, and at the center of it all are two of the biggest names in hip-hop, Drake and Kendrick Lamar. But what fans didn't see coming is the jaw-dropping drama that just exploded behind the scenes. According to insiders, Drake, yes, the Sixth God himself allegedly made a bold move to snatch up Kendrick's contract under Universal Music Group. The plan? To gain control, silence his biggest rival, and finally tip the balance of power in his favor. But here's the twist. Boom G looked him dead in the eye and said one word that shook the entire industry: nope. Now, this wasn't just a polite rejection. Oh no, what went down behind closed doors was nothing short of explosive. Tense meetings, heated phone calls, and secret texts have already leaked online, sending fans into a frenzy. Drake, who has always been known for his charm and smooth business moves, reportedly lost his cool in a way that stunned even his closest allies. And Kendrick? Sources say he's not staying silent. He's ready to clap back with a vengeance that could tear apart the entire rap game. The moment whispers started circulating about Drake's bold attempt to get his hands on Kendrick Lamar's contract, the industry froze. It wasn't just business, it was personal. Insiders claim that Drake had been plotting this move for months, carefully building connections inside Universal Music Group, hoping to find the right moment to strike. On the surface, it looked like another power play from a superstar trying to expand his empire, but behind the curtain, emotions were raging. Some sources close to the situation say Drake's motivation wasn't just about business or money, it was about pride, legacy, and proving once and for all that he could silence the one rival who has haunted him for years. At first, Drake thought the plan was airtight. He arranged private dinners with executives, sent carefully crafted messages, and even used intermediaries to test the waters. Drake wanted it to look clean, one insider whispered, but everybody could feel there was a storm brewing. He wasn't just making a business request, he was trying to pull Kendrick out from under his own foundation. Drake reportedly presented the move as a win-win situation, suggesting that if Universal let him take over Kendrick's contract, it would unify hip-hop under one powerhouse figure. But behind closed doors, the reaction was nothing like what he expected. The executives listened politely, nodding and letting Drake speak his case. But as soon as he finished, the energy in the room shifted. According to sources, one top executive leaned back, crossed their arms, and said one simple word: nope. No explanation, no negotiation, no long speeches, just a cold rejection that cut through the air. That one word reportedly left Drake stunned. For someone who has been praised for his ability to charm, persuade, and talk his way into nearly any deal, this was a slap in the face. After the meeting, Drake stormed out, his usually calm demeanor shattered. Those close to him said he was pacing back and forth in his Toronto mansion later that night, venting his frustration to his team. "How can they tell me no like that?" he allegedly shouted, his voice echoing through the walls. "After everything I've done for this industry, after all the money I've made them, they still protect him over me?" Emotions ran high, and Drake's inner circle was left scrambling to calm him down. Some of his friends urged him to let it go, to move on and focus on his own empire. But others, the ones who knew how much Kendrick's shadow weighed on him, warned that Drake wasn't going to drop this fight so easily. Meanwhile, word of the confrontation began leaking out, and fans on social media exploded with theories. Timelines were flooded with debates. Was Drake really trying to control Kendrick's career? Was Universal protecting Kendrick because they saw him as the future of rap? And most importantly, what was Kendrick going to say when he found out? The internet thrives on drama, and this story was feeding it like wildfire. Hashtags started trending overnight, with fans taking sides in the battle, some calling Drake desperate, others praising him for his ambition. But the real bombshell came when Kendrick himself allegedly caught wind of the situation. According to one insider close to Kendrick's camp, he didn't even look surprised. He just shook his head and laughed, telling his team, of course he would try something like this. He's been chasing me for years. The comment sparked laughter in the room, but it also carried a sting, because Kendrick knew Drake wouldn't take humiliation lightly. Kendrick reportedly warned his people, this isn't over. He's gonna come back harder, and Kendrick was right. In the days following the rejection, Drake's behavior became unpredictable. Sources claim he started reaching out to artists who were once close to Kendrick, trying to lure them into his own circle. Rumors swirled that Drake was offering big money deals, flashy perks, and promises of global exposure in exchange for loyalty. Some artists were tempted, others stayed quiet, afraid of getting caught in the middle of a war that was clearly escalating. Drake was moving like a man who had something to prove, another source revealed. He wasn't just hurt, he was furious, and when Drake gets furious, he starts plotting. Behind the scenes, Universal executives were also feeling the heat. They knew rejecting Drake so bluntly could ignite a firestorm, but they also felt they had no choice. Kendrick's contract wasn't just paperwork, it was tied to years of strategy, creative control, and cultural significance. To hand it over to Drake would have been like handing away the soul of modern hip-hop. One executive reportedly said, "Kendrick is bigger than money. He's a statement. If we let Drake take him, we'd be telling the world that art doesn't matter, only power does." We couldn't do that. But even as they stood firm, they knew they had provoked one of the most powerful figures in the game. Drake's frustration soon spilled over into his personal life as well. Friends say he was calling people at odd hours, venting about betrayal and disrespect. He allegedly told one confidant, "They treat me like I'm disposable, like I haven't carried this genre on my back for a decade. I'm not about to let some quiet, poetic rapper take everything I built." The words revealed a deeper wound, a fear that perhaps Kendrick's reputation as a lyrical genius was starting to overshadow Drake's own legacy as a hitmaker. It wasn't just about contracts, it was about history, about who would be remembered as the true voice of a generation. As fans speculated online, some even began digging into old footage, resurfacing moments where Drake seemed to throw subtle shade at Kendrick in interviews or lyrics. People began connecting the dots, painting a picture of a rivalry that had been simmering for years and was now boiling over. "This is like a hip-hop soap opera," one fan tweeted. "The tension, the betrayal, the power plays, I can't look away." The comment captured the mood perfectly, because this drama was bigger than music now. It had become entertainment, a spectacle that everyone wanted to watch unfold. But just when it seemed like Drake was cornered, rumors began to spread that he was preparing something huge. Whispers of a secret project, a calculated response to Universal's rejection, started making waves. Some said he was planning a surprise track aimed at both Kendrick and the executives who shut him down. Others claimed he was working on a massive collaboration to remind the world of his dominance. Whatever it was, Drake was clearly not backing down. "If they won't give me what I want, I'll take it another way," he reportedly told his team. And with that, the stage was set for the next chapter in a battle that was only just beginning, after Universal shut him down with that cold. Nope, Drake went silent publicly, but behind the scenes he was moving like a chess master preparing for war. Insiders say he began orchestrating a campaign, reaching out not just to artists but also to producers, songwriters, and even influencers who had ties to Kendrick. It wasn't about friendship anymore, it was about control. Drake allegedly told one producer, "You're either with me or you're against me. If you keep working with him, don't expect me to pick up your calls again." Those words spread like wildfire in the industry, putting smaller artists and producers in a terrifying position side with the biggest hitmaker in the world, or stay loyal to the quiet but powerful Kendrick. One producer, too scared to be named, admitted, "I felt like my career was on the line. Drake has the power to make or break people." But at the same time, betraying Kendrick felt like betraying hip-hop itself. It was a lose-lose situation. And that was exactly the kind of fear Drake was trying to cultivate. His strategy wasn't just about music, it was psychological warfare. While Drake was plotting, Kendrick's reaction was almost the opposite. He didn't lash out or make calls demanding loyalty. Instead, he reportedly gathered his close circle in a small studio in Los Angeles and told them, "We don't fight fire with fire, we fight with truth. The people know who we are." Those words calmed his camp, but also hinted at something deeper. Kendrick wasn't going to let Drake's move slide, but he would respond in his own way, and that way would hit harder than any. Business played out. Rumors began circulating that Kendrick was secretly writing a series of tracks, not just one diss, but a trilogy aimed squarely at Drake. Insiders whispered that the verses were brutal, dissecting Drake's reputation, questioning his authenticity, and exposing sides of him the public had never seen. "Kendrick doesn't just rap, he dissects," one source explained. "If those songs ever come out, it'll be like watching someone's ones. Empire crumble in real time. Meanwhile, Drake was growing impatient. His team encouraged him to release something quickly to get ahead of the rumors, but Drake wanted spectacle. He wanted something that would shake not just the music world, but the entire culture. And that's when he came up with an idea that shocked even his closest confidants. He decided to throw a massive private party in Los Angeles, except this wasn't about celebration. This was about power. He invited top industry executives, celebrities, and influencers, making sure word would leak out. The centerpiece of the night? A not-so-subtle announcement that he was working on what he called the project that will end all rivalries. According to people who attended, Drake stood on stage in a dimly lit room, glass of champagne in hand, and told the crowd, "They tried to tell me no, but when has no ever stopped me? I'm about to drop something that will change the game forever. Contracts don't matter when you own the culture." The room erupted in cheers, but behind the smiles, many guests were nervous. Some whispered that Drake was spiraling, others felt they were watching the beginning of a war that could split the industry in two. The fallout from that party was immediate. Blogs and fan accounts exploded with speculation. What was Drake planning? Was he about to drop a diss track, an album, or maybe even sign a shocking new artist just to spite Kendrick? Hashtags trended for days, with fans begging for clues. Kendrick's? Supporters fired back online, reminding everyone that Kendrick doesn't need theatrics, his pen is his weapon. The debate got so heated that even other rappers began weighing in, some subtly taking sides, others staying out of the fire completely. But here's where the twist came in. While Drake was hyping up his game-changing project, Universal quietly doubled down on protecting Kendrick. One insider revealed that the label sent out a confidential memo warning its artists and affiliates not to get involved in Drake's schemes. They're protecting Kendrick like he's royalty, the insider said. They don't want Drake anywhere near his orbit. This only enraged Drake more, who allegedly vented to his manager, "They think I can be shut out? Watch me, they're about to regret underestimating me." Kendrick, on the other hand, played it cool publicly, but privately he started preparing for the worst. Sources claim he called a family meeting in Compton, telling his relatives and closest friends, "It's gonna get messy. They're gonna try to drag my name, my legacy, maybe even my family into this. I need y'all to stay strong." The room was tense, but Kendrick's calm demeanor reassured them. His cousin reportedly said, "You've been through worse, you'll get through this too." Still, the fact that Kendrick even felt the need to warn his family showed just how serious this had become. As the weeks went on, the drama intensified. Fans noticed Drake throwing subliminal lines into features and guest verses, little jabs about contracts and paperwork that everyone knew were aimed at Kendrick. In response, Kendrick remained silent, which only made the tension worse. The silence was deafening, like the calm before a storm. Fans were on edge, waiting for the moment when Kendrick would finally speak or rap. The turning point came when leaked audio surfaced online. A short clip of what sounded like Kendrick rapping lines directly aimed at Drake made its way onto social media. In the snippet, Kendrick allegedly rapped about kings who buy thrones they never built and voices that sing but never speak truth. The internet erupted instantly, with fans convinced this was the opening shot of Kendrick's response. Whether it was intentional or a calculated leak, the clip sent Drake into a frenzy. Drake's camp immediately called the leak fake, but insiders say he was furious behind closed doors. He couldn't believe Kendrick was about to beat him at his own game, one source revealed. Drake reportedly stayed in the studio for 3 days straight, barely sleeping, determined to create something that would overshadow whatever Kendrick was planning. The pressure was intense, and those around him described the atmosphere as chaotic. It was like watching someone fight their own reflection. One insider said, and as Drake buried himself in the studio, Kendrick stayed quiet, almost too quiet. Fans began to speculate that Kendrick was deliberately waiting, letting Drake exhaust himself, letting the hype build until the perfect moment to strike. It was a psychological game now, with both men locked in a battle that wasn't just about music. It was about who could control the narrative. By the time industry insiders started whispering about an upcoming Drake release date, tensions had reached a boiling point. Drake was convinced he was about to reclaim control, while Kendrick's supporters were just as convinced he was about to deliver the knockout blow. The industry was divided, fans were divided, and Universal executives were bracing for impact. The only thing everyone agreed on was that the next move would change everything. And that's when something nobody expected happened. Another major player entered the battlefield, someone who had their own history with both Drake and Kendrick. And with that entry, the drama escalated into a whole new level. The whispers started small at first. Just a few tweets from anonymous accounts hinting that J. Cole had been watching everything from the sidelines. But then, more solid reports started. Trickling in. Cole wasn't just watching, he was about to step into the middle of the storm. For years, fans had begged for a full-blown Drake versus Kendrick versus Cole showdown. And now, it seemed like fate was finally delivering it. According to insiders, Cole was tired of the endless back and forth. He saw Drake's power plays as petty and Kendrick's silence as strategic but dangerous. So he decided to make his presence felt. Cole reportedly reached out to Universal directly, offering to mediate between Kendrick and Drake, but also making it clear he wouldn't let anyone disrespect artistry in the name of contracts. "I'm not here for the politics," Cole allegedly told executives. "I'm here to protect the culture." Those words carried weight, and Universal gave him the green light to try and cool things down, but Drake didn't see it as mediation. To him, Cole's involvement looked like betrayal. After all, Cole and Drake had shared stages, collabs, and countless moments of brotherhood in the past. Drake allegedly fumed to his inner circle, "He's supposed to have my back, not Kendrick's. If he's not riding with me, then he's standing against me." Those close to Drake said it felt like the walls were closing in. Meanwhile, Kendrick welcomed Cole's presence. The two had always shared mutual respect, and while they never released that long-promised joint project, their bond was undeniable. Kendrick reportedly told his camp, "Cole moves with intention. If he's here, it's because the universe put him here." But others around him were more cautious, worried that Cole might get caught in the crossfire or worse, tilt the balance in Drake's favor without meaning to. When news of Cole's involvement hit the internet, fans went wild. Memes exploded across social media, with people joking that the big three were finally about to clash like gods in a hip-hop Olympus. Some fans begged for peace, others wanted nothing more than lyrical warfare. One tweet summed up the chaos perfectly. "This isn't music anymore, this is HBO-level drama." Drake, determined not to lose ground, decided to escalate. Insiders revealed he was planning to release a diss disguised as a club banger, something that would get radio play while also taking subtle but sharp shots at both Kendrick and Cole. He told his producers, "They'll be dancing while I destroy them." The idea was bold but risky, too subtle, and fans wouldn't catch it. Too obvious, and it could backfire. Kendrick, on the other hand, continued his quiet approach. Sources claimed he had finished recording the first track of his rumored trilogy, and the lyrics were devastating. One insider who heard the rough cut described it as surgical. They said, "Kendrick doesn't yell, he doesn't curse out loud, but every line feels like a dagger. He's not just attacking Drake's music, he's questioning his soul." Cole, stuck in the middle, felt the tension rising. Reports say he reached out directly to Drake in an attempt to calm things down. During a private phone call, Cole allegedly told him, "You don't need to do this. Your legacy is already cemented. Stop chasing Kendrick's shadow." But Drake wasn't having it. His response, according to someone who overheard, was chilling. "You think I'm chasing his shadow? Nah, I'm making sure there's no shadow left." That conversation reportedly left Cole shaken, realizing Drake's obsession wasn't about contracts or even competition. It was about complete dominance. Cole confided in a close friend, saying, "I think he's gone too far. He's not thinking about the music anymore, he's thinking about erasing people." The drama spilled over into the public when Drake made a surprise appearance at a high-profile award show. He took the stage to accept an honorary award, but instead of thanking the usual people, he used the moment to fire a shot. "Some people hide behind contracts, some hide behind poetry," he said, smirking. "Me? I stand in front of the world and carry it on my back." The audience gasped, half in awe, half in shock. Cameras caught Cole shaking his head in the audience, while Kendrick, notably absent, became the focus of online chatter. The backlash was instant. Fans accused Drake of being insecure, desperate, and even manipulative. Others defended him, claiming he was simply speaking his truth. Either way, the stunt kept the spotlight firmly on him, exactly as he wanted. But behind the scenes, executive S at Universal were panicking. They had expected Drake to be upset, but not to take things this far. One executive reportedly sighed, "We're not just managing artists anymore. We're managing egos that could destroy the whole game." The tension finally boiled over one night at a private industry event in New York. Both Drake and Cole were in attendance, and according to multiple witnesses, things got heated. Cole allegedly approached Drake calmly, trying once again to reason with him. "Bro, this isn't you," Cole said. "You're letting pride run the show." But Drake snapped back, his voice low but firm. "Don't act like you know me. You picked your side when you backed Kendrick." The exchange grew tense, with onlookers holding their breath as the two men stared each other down. Eventually, security intervened before it could escalate further, but the damage was done. Rumors of the confrontation spread within hours, fueling. The FireOnline.Kendrick, hearing about the near clash, reportedly smirked and said to his team, "They're tearing themselves apart. I don't even need to move yet." It was a chilling reminder of just how calculated Kendrick could be while Drake spiraled publicly and Cole struggled to mediate. Kendrick was sitting back, letting the storm rage until he was ready to strike, and then came the leak that changed everything. A mysterious account uploaded a snippet of Drake's upcoming diss track, and within minutes it went viral. The beat was infectious, the hook was catchy, but the lyrics sharp enough to cut. In one line, Drake allegedly mocked Kendrick for hiding behind a label that babysits his pen, and in another, he called Cole a preacher with no congregation. Fans were stunned, torn between praising the boldness and condemning the pettiness. Cole's reaction was immediate. He reportedly called Drake that same night furious. "You really put me in this? I was trying to keep the peace, and now you've dragged my name into your mess." Drake, unbothered, allegedly replied, "It's all part of the story, bro. Don't take it personal." Cole hung up, and insiders say that was the breaking point. Kendrick, meanwhile, remained silent, but those close to him say the diss only fueled his resolve. "He's not rushing," one insider shared. "He's waiting for the exact right moment to respond. And when he does, it'll be devastating." The stage was now set for the final act, Drake versus Kendrick, with Cole caught in the middle and the entire industry watching with bated breath. But just as everyone thought they knew how the story would play out, another twist emerged: rumors that someone from Drake's own camp was secretly feeding information to Kendrick. Betrayal was in the air, and the fallout would take the drama to levels nobody could have predicted. The whispers about betrayal began with a single tweet from a faceless account: "Drake's inner circle isn't as loyal as he thinks." At first, fans brushed it off as just another rumor, but then more hints surfaced. Snippets of private conversations, lyrics from unreleased tracks, even details about Drake's late-night rants suddenly started appearing in online forums. The information was too specific, too accurate. It had to be coming from someone on the inside. The revelation shook Drake to his core. He had always prided himself on keeping a tight circle, only trusting a handful of people with his secrets. But now, one of those trusted allies was leaking sensitive intel straight to Kendrick's team. It felt like a knife in the back, one of Drake's associates admitted. "He started looking at all of us like enemies." The paranoia was unreal. According to insiders, the mole wasn't just leaking information, it was someone Kendrick's camp had quietly cultivated for months. Every late-night outburst, every desperate plan, every unfinished verse Drake recorded found its way into Kendrick's hands. And Kendrick, ever the strategist, used the intel to sharpen his response, ensuring that when he finally spoke, every word would strike like a precision blade. Drake's paranoia escalated into full-blown rage. Reports say he confronted his team in a heated meeting, slamming his fist on the table and demanding answers. "Who's the snake?" he shouted. The room went silent, everyone too scared to speak. One insider recalled, "He looked each of us in the eye, like he was trying to read our souls. It was terrifying." While Drake spiraled, Kendrick stayed eerily calm. Sources from his camp say he was putting the finishing touches on the first of his diss trilogy, carefully weaving in references only Drake and his inner circle would recognize. The goal wasn't just to expose Drake, it was to make him question everyone around him, to break him from the inside out. Cole, still trying to hold the middle ground, reached out again, warning both men that the situation was spiraling out of control. This isn't music anymore, Cole allegedly told them. This is war, and wars leave scars nobody recovers from. But his words fell on deaf ears. Drake accused him of being soft, while Kendrick simply told him, sometimes. Scars are the proof we survived. The industry was now in a frenzy. Fans demanded blood and blogs covered every whisper like it was gospel. Hashtags trended daily, fan-made diss tracks flooded YouTube, and every rapper even remotely connected to Drake or Kendrick was bombarded with questions about whose side they were on. One veteran producer sighed in an interview, "This isn't even about who's the best rapper anymore. It's about who can control the narrative, who can manipulate the story. It's bigger than hip-hop, it's theater." The first major explosion came when Kendrick finally dropped the opening diss of his trilogy. Released without warning in the middle of the night, the track was pure venom. He didn't scream, didn't curse excessively, he let the weight of his words do the damage. He accused Drake of hiding behind pop hits, of buying loyalty instead, of earning it, of being so desperate for control that he tried to steal another man's legacy. Fans were stunned, playing the track on repeat, dissecting every line. "This isn't a diss," one fan tweeted. "This is an autopsy." Drake's response was immediate. Within 48 hours, he released his own track, the supposed club banger. That doubled as a diss. The beat was infectious, the hook unforgettable, but the lyrics came across as defensive. He painted Kendrick as a bitter recluse, someone who couldn't handle the spotlight and needed the protection of his label. Fans danced to the beat, but critics weren't convinced. "He gave us a hit song," one critic wrote, "but Kendrick gave us a statement. There's a difference." Cole, caught in the crossfire, released a freestyle of his own not aimed at either man, but at the culture itself. In it, he pleaded for peace, called out the toxicity of ego-driven feuds, and reminded everyone that hip-hop was supposed to uplift, not destroy. But instead of calming things down, his freestyle only poured gasoline on the fire. Fans began accusing him of being too neutral, of refusing to pick a side. Drake mocked him on social media, while Kendrick simply ignored him. The climax of the feud came during a surprise live event. Drake announced a pop-up performance in New York, and thousands of fans flooded the venue, expecting him to reclaim the throne. But midway through his set, as the beat dropped for his new diss track, the screens behind him lit up with a projection of Kendrick's face, paired with the words, "Truth will always outshine noise." The crowd gasped, some cheering, others booing. Nobody knew how Kendrick had managed to hijack the event, but insiders later revealed that the mole inside Drake's camp had tipped Kendrick's team off about the setlist. Giving them the chance to orchestrate the stunt, Drake was humiliated. Witnesses said he finished the set visibly shaken, his energy drained. Backstage, he allegedly shouted at his team, accusing them all of betrayal. "You think this is a game? They're laughing at me because of you." One source recalled him saying. By the end of the night, Drake had cut ties with several longtime associates. Convinced they had sold him out, Kendrick, meanwhile, quietly released the second track of his trilogy the following morning. This one was even harsher, weaving in references to the mole, the awards show speech, and Drake's desperation for control. Fans called it a masterclass in psychological warfare. The song didn't just attack Drake, it dismantled the very image he had built for himself over the years. Cole, watching from the sidelines, finally admitted defeat in his mission to mediate. In a private conversation with a friend, he reportedly sighed, "I tried, man, I tried to keep the peace. But sometimes people are too far gone." His words echoed the sentiments of many in the industry. This wasn't just a rivalry anymore. It was a civil war. As Drake prepared his final response, the atmosphere in the industry grew suffocating. Everyone was waiting to see if he could recover, or if Kendrick had finally delivered the knockout blow. Insiders claimed Drake was rewriting his track over and over, desperate to find the perfect balance of venom and artistry. But just as he was about to drop it, Kendrick released the final part of his trilogy. The last track wasn't loud or aggressive, it was haunting. Kendrick rapped like a man speaking from the mountaintop, painting Drake as a figure consumed by pride, undone by his own hunger for dominance. The closing lines left listeners speechless. Empires fall not by enemies' hands, but by the cracks their kings refused to see. Fans hailed it as one of the greatest diss sequences in hip-hop history, while critics declared the feud over Kendrick had won. Drake's single quotes as unreleased final response leaked a week later, and while it was sharp and full of fire, the timing killed its impact. Fans saw it as too little, too late. Even some of his supporters admitted the momentum had.